What's up, YouTube? My name's Ethan.
My name is Marcel.
Alright, we're going to be leaving a review for Alita Battle Angel. And this is a second review for our new channel, To See or Not to See. Last week we reviewed Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This week is Alita Battle Angel. Basically, each week we're going to go see a movie in theaters. And then right here on YouTube we're going to leave our review, which is our general thoughts, feelings, impressions on the movie. And in a pretty chill environment.
Yeah. So Ethan and I are both film majors at BYU, and we both kind of tend to specialize in different parts of the film world. So he's a little bit more on the technical side, where I'm a little bit more on like the art side. So when we come together, we generally tend to have a good balance in the debates that we have, and like our thoughts and opinions, and the things that we notice. But of course, we are still students, so we're learning too, and we're more than happy to read your thoughts and opinions in the comments below that you may leave.
Yeah. So this week, Alita Battle Angel, basically it's a story about a girl named Alita. She's a cyber human something, right? And she has this ability to fight, this
Special training.
special training to fight,
Yeah.
right? That we're not sure where it came from. And she becomes friends with a guy named Hugo, and they develop this relationship, and then evil forces come in, right, trying to threaten that relationship. And then she uses her special training fighting skills to defeat those forces. And then it kind of ends on this, spoiler warning, but it ends on this kind of cliffhanger of her going up to this other city to defeat the main evil boss or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's very
video game-esque.
Yeah, very video game-esque, and that's a very rough, summary of the movie.
Yeah. There's a lot that's going on.
A lot happens.
A
lot
lot.
happens in the film. But yeah, so just again, so spoiler warning, we're going to talk about the film in very detail, and there might be some spoilers, so just watch out for that.
Yep.
Anything else you'd like to add to that summary?
Yeah. I mean, well, maybe. I mean, the whole world kind of is just in this malfunctioning lie of a system sort of a thing, and I feel like it's sort of like the whole entire system, and everyone is threatened. It's not just her and Hugo. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
like
it's like their classic dystopian society.
Yeah.
Where everything's kind of falling apart. There's this government that, is separated from the rest of the world, right? This upper government
Yeah.
that no one ever
Literally
knows.
upper.
Literally separated, yeah. You have this two worlds, right? One above, one below. And everyone that's below can't go up to the one above, and the one above kind of rules over the one below. So and then the one below is trying to get up, but they can never get up.
Yeah,
Something like
yeah.
that. I'm not really sure.
Well, you can only get up there if you win motorball, that sport.
Which I'm not sure why. I never understood that. I don't know.
I don't know.
There's a lot of plot holes, I feel like, in this movie where it's
Yeah.
just this is how it is because we say so.
Yeah.
It's alright, I
You
guess.
just have to go with it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, okay.
I don't know. Wasn't a huge fan of the story, to be
Alright.
honest. I thought it was very kind of, we've already seen this multiple times, and there wasn't really anything fresh or new. I felt like with the story, I felt like the relationship between her and Hugo was very kind of vanilla, was very we've already seen it. Everything we saw in this movie, we've already seen it story-wise. There was no really cool ideas or new concepts or intriguing thoughts that made you think more about the film after you're done watching it. It's kind of one of those, you go, you watch it, you have fun, and you leave. You don't really, I haven't really thought about it until now, between watching the movie and now doing the review. So.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair point. I didn't think about it very much either.
Yeah, so it was fun. It was very entertaining and fun, and there's lots of special effects and action and all that stuff. But story-wise, very bland, very vanilla, and the characters were very poorly written, in my opinion. I thought the characters were very, again, just bland. There wasn't anything to them. There wasn't an arc really. I felt like Hugo kind of had an arc where he I don't know, actually. I don't think Hugo had an arc, because he was very, friendly and nice at the beginning, and then all of a sudden they throw in this, he destroys body, he takes apart bodies, cyborg bodies, right?
Mhm.
And sells their parts, and then he doesn't want to do that. But at the same, like right as they throw that in, he says
Yeah.
they're not going to do it anymore. You know, so they didn't let that develop either. So I feel like there wasn't any kind of arc with
There was,
any of the characters.
like little hints that he was changing. But the problem was that they had so many different things going on at one time that it was hard to focus because we have Alita and we have is it Ito?
Ito, the doctor, yeah.
Yeah, we have, and they're both.
It's like father-daughter relationship.
Yeah, it's kind of like this father-daughter relationship kind of a thing.
Well, he found her in the scrapyard. That's how it starts,
Also,
right?
she was in way too good of condition to have been sitting in a scrapyard for that long.
Yeah. I don't.
It didn't make sense.
That didn't make any sense. I didn't like how it started. I thought like just him like finding the cyborg and then like repairing it, and then all of a sudden she's now his daughter. Like I don't know. I feel like it needed to like kind of explain more about where she came from, like what happened. The backstory was very lacking. They had flashbacks every now and then of like what happened, but it really didn't explain anything, in my opinion. And then there wasn't really any contention between Ito and Alita.
There was a little bit.
There was like she wanted to protect her and she wanted to go explore the world, but that was about it. You know, I feel like this dude just found you, and all of a sudden like now he like owns you, and like you're his daughter, and like she's just like okay, but I don't know. There wasn't like any kind of I don't know. It just felt very like we have to make it this way for the story to be driven this way. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't know. It was all kind of messy. I personally just think there were too many things going on. I mean, she's trying to figure out who she is, how she has all of these skills and this knowledge that's just sort of built into her, and she's developing this romantic relationship with this boy, and she's trying to fight off villains. And the thing is that you have the villains that are there on the ground, and then you have the ones that are up in the city that's above. And you know, she's trying to reach to all these different people and do all these different things, and she almost dies, and she gets ripped apart so many times that it's like, when is the actual climax?
Yep.
Because I was confused a couple of times, that I was like, oh, okay, this is where it's gonna get. And then at the end, the actual end didn't really feel like an end.
No.
I was kind of.
Well, they're trying to make it so you go and see the second one. Obviously, it's building up to a second one.
Obvious.
You know, she wins motorball or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's about to go to the second world, and then it ends.
Yeah.
But, so they made the ending purposely trying to like cliffhang you.
No, and I realized that.
Yeah.
It was more so just that I felt like the end climax had already happened so many times on the main story frame, because she has this character arc and this sort of completion of her struggle with Ito to how much control he has over her, and like where their like father-daughter relationship type thing really stands, and you know, that kind of like fluctuates and does its thing. And then there's the whole, she has to defeat this guy, I don't even remember what his name was, the really really big guy. Like she fights him in the beginning, and he's like, oh, I'll remember you, I'm gonna come back for you, and you know, that's what you think is, then you think that's gonna be the whole big thing. And then she gets rid of him, but then it keeps going again.
So what you're saying is like there's multiple times where you thought it could end.
Yeah, there was like
keeps dragging on.
Yeah, it kept going, and there was like, because there's an end to her struggle with Ito, there's an end to her struggle with that one guy. There's that one time that she literally almost dies because she's like just this much of a person left, and then Hugo dies, and then suddenly Motorball, that's been kind of like an underlying story the whole time, is what we end on.
Yep.
And that's the final climax is, oh, she's won Motorball, now she's going to go to the big city. And it's kind of confusing because that's always been sort of a side statement the whole time. And then suddenly we're ending on this final note with this thing that hasn't mattered that much.
No, it was very poorly written. The whole movie was just very poorly written. How it was put together, from the story, from the basic story to the poorly written characters to the way it was edited. I feel like it was very very poorly executed and poorly written. And I'm not saying James Cameron is a bad writer, but this one was not his best.
No, and the thing is, I feel like he almost pulled in an intern to write the first third or maybe even half of the script, because it progressively got a little bit more natural towards the end, but in the first 30, 45 minutes of the movie, I kept looking over at Ethan and saying, this is terrible.
Very cheesy.
Real people don't talk like this.
Yeah.
It was so cheesy. It was so bad. It was so uncomfortable. I just couldn't deal with it. It just didn't sound right, and I hated it. It was bad. It was so poorly written.
Yeah, nothing in the film really felt right to me. I feel like everything. It was very visually fun to watch. Like visually
it was
stunning.
super cool.
There's lots of cool special effects, cool action sequences, but everything felt off. Like I don't know how to describe it, but the story felt off, the characters felt off. It just didn't feel like anything connected really. It felt like one thing I love to look for is conflict in film. I feel like for a good film to be a good film, there needs to be some sort of conflict between the characters and the world, or the characters and other characters, the characters and themselves. And I just feel like they force a lot of contact on it, trying to develop all these conflicts between her and Ito, her and herself, her and Hugo, her and this other world. But it just felt very forced. It wasn't subtle.
Yeah.
It wasn't developing or it wasn't subtle. Yeah, it felt very this is a conflict. Now this is a conflict. Now this is a conflict. And it just didn't feel great. It just didn't feel good.
And there were some mini conflicts with characters too, like with the other hunter guy. What's his name? The really he's super cool cyborg hunter guy. I don't know.
He was the cool. There's these groups called hunter killers, and they're bounty hunters. So when anyone does anything wrong in the world, they get a bounty on their head, and then these hunter killers go through and just.
Was it hunter killers?
I think that's what it was, right?
Something like that.
Something, yeah. And then they basically go through and kill the person who did something wrong, and then they collect the money from the bounty that's been placed on them by this unknown government.
But anyways, one of the big main cool guys suddenly becomes this. So I totally forgot about him until just now, and I remembered because it was just an unnecessary addition to the story for him to be such a big conflict.
Yeah, they introduce him at the beginning, and he's this cool dude. She kind of overrules him with her special fighting skills, and then there's nothing from him, and then all of a sudden at the end he reappears, and he's one of the major villains and takes over.
He's gonna kill her boyfriend to get revenge just because she embarrassed him. # toxic masculinity. But also it just was kind of distracting.
Yep.
It just wasn't necessary. It was just another one of those mini antagonists that just it was too many.
Yeah.
There were too many. It was too much.
I feel like this would happen. They had this basic story, and then they just kept adding to it. They're like, hey, this needs to happen. Then we're going to add this. Then we're going to add this. What else can we do? Let's do this,
Well, I think what they did was... Because I think Alita was a comic book series before, right? I haven't read them. But I know that it was a story thing before. And I of course I haven't read them, so I can't say this for sure. But what it felt like to me was they tried to take several of these comic book stories with multiple different villains and multiple different stories and try to mash it all into one kind of a thing and just kind of skim over it really quick so they could make it all fit into a couple of movies. But they didn't want to skip over too many things, maybe, so they wouldn't disappoint a lot of fans.
I don't know. I mean, there's the major villain, the main bad guy is the leader of the upper world, right? But you never see him. He has this like body he possesses.
You see him.
He has this body. I guess you see him, but like Alita never sees him. But like none of the characters down below ever see him.
She does see him at one point. Because remember when she's training with her person in one of the flashbacks?
In the flashback, yeah. I'm saying during the current period of the movie.
Like a hologram of him?
Yeah. During like the current period of the movie, he never shows up. Like to like fight or to confront Alita or to like do anything. There's no confrontation between the main protagonist and the main antagonist. They're always separate. They're literally separated. And so that kind of, I mean, he has this he has this body in the lower world that he possesses, right, and kind of does his bidding for him. And they come into contact. So like through this body, they kind of have this confrontation.
Well, he has control over a lot of people.
Yeah, but I feel like it was hard to make this guy the villain when she never really confronts him, ever. Except until the very end, he confronts his body and kills his possessed body, but she doesn't kill him, because he's literally on a different world. So that was really hard. Again, like the conflicts were just didn't feel natural. It didn't feel natural at all. It was very messy, very thrown together, very haphazard and like rushed.
Yeah.
Again, very visually fun, visually entertaining. I think for me, if I had to did you have any other opinions you want to say before I say whether or not to go see it?
Well, I mean, maybe we should talk about some of the good stuff a little bit more.
I mean, if you have some good stuff to talk about, I think the only good stuff was the special effects.
No, that was great. The special effects were great.
Everything else I thought was just kind of garbage. The story was garbage. The character development was not great. The writing was not great. It just felt lacking. It felt like very rushed.
I liked a lot of the fight scenes were cool. I very much am like a fan of like John Wick-esque fight scenes.
I mentioned the action sequences. They were really cool.
No, I know. Yeah, I'm not discrediting.
Oh no, I know.
It's okay. But they were. I don't know. I thought they were pretty cool. And I really. I don't know. I liked Alita's character as a feminist protagonist for a lot of reasons because she has this strength and she wants to go ahead and she has like fears, like she's still like human-esque, but I don't know how to like put it into words. Like I obviously, like, her character wasn't perfectly written either, but I think, like, she had relatability to her, and her and Hugo's relationship didn't totally make sense to me. It was all very fast and sort of...
Yeah, it was very basic, very fast, very vanilla.
Yeah, it was very vanilla.
We've already seen it in multiple dystopian movies, And
I like that she tries to say that she's going to save him at the end, though. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
But then she doesn't, and that's sad. But then she keeps going anyways. She doesn't let it hold her back.
Yeah,
which is
she's like a superhero movie, but instead of the men usually are the superheroes and they're saving the women. It's kind of flipped.
Yeah.
A little bit, which is really cool.
Yeah.
The strong, powerful female character. I feel like she didn't have. The fears against her strengths, there wasn't much conflict there. I just feel like in terms of her origin story, I guess, and her development with her powers and fighting skills, there wasn't anything there. It was just they found her in the scrapyard, put a body on her, and now she's fighting.
You know? Yeah, and I feel like there was never a point where people tried to use multiple weaknesses against her. Like, she was sort of this one-dimensional thing, and people thought that the best, like, everybody thought the best way to attack her was to attack the boy that she cared about.
Yep.
And not her family, and not, well, her family.
Yeah.
Yeah, and...
Yeah, I felt like if you're trying to hurt her, the best way would be to go through Hugo. It wasn't really at her.
Which wasn't...
And the one time, it was funny because, like, they
like
find
all
this...
Of her happiness, like, her ability to, like, function depends on this boy being alive, so I didn't like that much.
So in my opinion, I feel like, having a strong female character, it was very cool to see, but I feel like there was some kind of still, lacking feminist things that they could have worked on. They could have worked on for sure. I thought it was funny that the one time she gets like defeated or whatever when she gets split in half and she finds so basically before that she finds this newer body with better technology and whatever, and she comes to Ito and says, "Hey, I want to be put in this newer body instead of the one that you put me in originally," which we find out that body that she got put in first was the body that Ito was making for his actual daughter before she died. And so it kind of had like this sentimental value. So he's like, "No, I want to keep you in this body because I want you to be Alita," which was his original daughter's name. And then all of a sudden, like right after that, she basically gets torn apart, and the body's
literally gets torn apart.
The body gets destroyed, and then Ito's like, "Fine, I'll put you in this newer body," and it's like, and without any like hesitation. Which again, she's trying to save her, so that makes a little bit of sense. But I feel like, I don't know, there wasn't like any way to defeat her, Like, you're just gonna put her in another body. And
it's okay, we'll just stick her over here. There was never a moment of like, oh my gosh, she's not gonna make it!
Yeah, I never was worried like that she was gonna die or that anything was gonna happen to her. The Hugo dying was a little bit surprising. I guess that was kind of the twist, I guess, in the story. But in terms of like her and her
especially after everything she did to save him, like she freaking carried his severed head in her jacket. Yeah. It was so weird.
Very weird.
Ooh,
so
comfortable.
Yeah.
But the special effects were cool. I thought the coloration was really cool. There wasn't anything remarkable about the cinematography. There wasn't anything remarkable like hair and makeup wise. Costumes were like decent. If you weren't a cyborg though, you were kind of just
That's what they never really had that conflict between like human and cyborg,
Yeah, not really.
There wasn't like, I don't know, it just felt like I feel like there was so much conflict that they could have had in the film without not forced conflict. I feel like they forced a lot of the conflict that was in the film, but there was so much subtle conflict that they could have had that they just didn't use. I feel like, and that's why I feel like it was very executed poorly. The film was just not executed well, and so that's why I would say I don't think this is a C. I think you should just don't see it. I'm sorry. I think visually you can see other movies that have the same kind of visual stunning effects with better plot, better character stories. So I just don't think this movie will add anything to you as a film viewer. So I say don't see it. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? I might be too harsh, but I don't think this adds anything. Sorry, I'll let you go.
You're okay.
If you have to hesitate that long, it's not.
No, I'm trying to think of. You always assume these things too quickly. Oh no, my hairband just broke. I have to think of a way to explain myself because I know you're gonna disagree with me.
Just start with the must see, or don't see.
I wouldn't say it's a must see, but I wouldn't say don't see it either. I would say that it's worth seeing purely for the sake of what you're going to just see, because it really is remarkable. CGI wise and technology wise, the advancements in it, I remember at one point there's kind of this close up on her face, which is by far the most CGI thing in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see all of her pores and her sweat and the different colors of her skin, and these like real flesh tones. And I was amazed. I was quite frankly blown away by how realistic it looked.
At the same time, though, you can tell that she's not real.
Well, of course not.
I know. I'm just saying. I think I was very like CGI wise was very. Yeah, the advancements they made is crazy cool. But at the same time, the whole movie, I never got used to the fact that she wasn't real. Like the whole movie, it always kind of stuck out that oh yeah, she's CGI. Oh, she's CGI. She's CGI. You know what I'm saying? Every time I saw her compared to the other actors in the film, she just looked way different. I don't know.
I think it's the eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's her eyes, because nobody else in the film has, like, those massive eyes, except for some of the other fighter people that are from her same group of creation.
Yeah. It just stuck out, and it kind of pulled me out a little bit of the film. Alright, that's our review for Alita Battle Angel. Alright, catch us next week. We're going to go watch Big Little Ones and leave a review right here on YouTube for that film.
If you do want us to see something more than you want us to see Big Little Ones, though, feel more than welcome to leave the new title of that film in the comments below. And if we get enough votes for it, then we'll go see that instead.
Maybe, maybe not. I'm pretty excited to see Big Little Ones, so I'm not sure if we'll do that.
Just veto whatever you say.
Probably.
But, no, I am excited to go see this one, too. It looks really cool. It looks like, oh man, it just looks intense.
Mm.
Just very, like, sad, stressed out high school kids, which is very relatable.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think it's gonna be good. So I'm excited. We'll go see how it goes.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you guys next week.